We're going to call our meeting to order for the Advisory Board, January 12th, first meeting of 2026. Welcome.
Testing it again. Can you hear me now?
Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
Great. Well then, hi.
Hi.
Hi, glad to have you both with us. We are just missing, oh my gosh, Diane tonight. So, Nicole, before you hopped on, we were saying that agenda item, we're just going to move to when Diane can join us, and then we will have our introduction and welcome our new liaison and all that. But other than that, we're moving on. Any comments or questions about last month's minutes? Anybody want to move to approve those minutes for December 15th?
I'll second.
Thank you.
There was a lot in there.
It was a lot to sift through.
It really recorded the discussion, so that was good to be able to go back and read.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Are there any members of the public who would like to be heard at this time? Seeing none, we will move to our new business. I don't remember where we landed with the icebreaker. Anyone have a good New Year's-ish icebreaker or other question?
Does anyone make New Year's resolutions?
Ooh.
I don't.
I switched over to intentions. I find them more forgiving.
Yes, yeah. I have a New Year's tradition.
Ooh.
After I take the tabletop Christmas tree down, I leave the big table out, and now I have a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle on it. And it takes me, a month or so to do it.
Gets you through the dark
Gets me through the dark.
winter when there's nothing fun.
Yeah, when it's already dark out, but it's not dinner time yet. So, and the one I have now is a fabulous puzzle with bookshelves, and all the book titles are puns.
Oh, wow.
Like
Mhm.
The Pie of Miss Jean Brodie in the cookbook section,
Mhm.
stuff like that. And then there are little creatures peeking out, little doors.
How big is it?
It's 1,000 piece. So
Right.
it's
Okay.
like this. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Anyone else have a New Year's tradition or?
I was gonna say I don't make resolutions, but I similarly in January I always start something new that I want to try. I was during the pandemic it was sourdough baking and all that, right? Those kinds of things. And so this year I crocheted my kid a little stuffed animal. I don't know if anyone's seen the Woobles kits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of popular. Yeah. So I did that for my kid, and then it was it was a fox. It was one of my kids' favorite animals, and now the other one's okay, now you're gonna make me these other ones, and so now apparently I'm just gonna be a
placing orders.
stuffy factory. It was pretty fun. It's very lopsided.
Do you enjoy it though, the process?
Yeah, I wish I was doing a scarf or a blanket or something, so it could be mindless. Those ones you really have to count every stitch and all that, and I would much rather be watching TV while doing it or something. So
Yeah.
How about you, Katie? Are you looking at the world differently at all this year? Gonna try something new?
No.
Forget about stop something old.
Stop something.
Something.
I made a New Year's resolution 5 years ago to organize all of my digital photos, and I haven't done that yet. So I think that one just kind of carries over and over and over indefinitely.
It feels big.
I can't say I have. I don't do resolutions specifically. I don't know that I really even some friend of mine was asking me that too. Like, I don't know. I kind of do things throughout the year, so I don't really save it for the
Right.
beginning.
Why
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Reflections, recommitments.
Yeah.
All right. We needn't belabor it. Would someone present like to bring a question for next month? I'm happy to do it. I feel like it's been a couple months since I asked a question. Maybe.
Yeah. Did one fairly recently. So
Yeah.
I'll defer to you.
There's only so many
Yeah.
of us to take a turn. Unless the director would like to. Have you had a turn?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I don't want to add more work to your plate, so you can put me down. And then if you're inspired, just let me know. All right, so we're not welcoming and introducing our new council liaison this month, but we are welcoming ourselves to the year and trying to orient ourselves to a path forward. Last month's conversation was surprisingly rich, I found, in terms of like, it got better like as the night wore on, and it was like, oh, you know, this is a long meeting and I feel like we're just digging into some really good stuff and being forthright about the things that we would like to work on or improve, or there's like some visioning that happened toward the end of the meeting that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget about the energy that I felt. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna want to tap into that or pick that up again in January. So originally I imagined that this portion of the meeting, you know, in welcoming Diane, we would be just sort of going through a very brief overview of just what we were talking about last month, who we are, who we want to be as a board, how we can be effective, how we can make not only the best use of our time as volunteers, but make the best use of our skills and our experiences and all of those things that we want to ask about when we interview potential new candidates. So this very broad idea of goals, not necessarily to hash something out concrete and super specific, but from the conversation we had last month about leaning more into outreach, leaning more into community engagement and building awareness, educating on different aspects surrounding the library. I guess what we should do is I'll ask if anyone had any other thoughts, like after last month's meeting. Did you think about anything further, or maybe when you were glancing over the minutes, like did something stick with you? Did something new come up for you? Or you know what we should talk about, or you know what we should think about doing as an advisory board? Just wanted to open it up and see if anything else arose that you would want to share. And from there, I'd be interested in hearing from all of you what you would like to have as a goal. It can be as broad, specific, it can be for the whole board and our work together, it can be for you individually in your role on the board. But sometimes I kind of chafe at the word goal, but intention works too if that is more comfortable for you.
Yeah, I kind of felt that, you know, because I've just been getting going on the board, but I kind of felt like, well, what are we supposed to be doing besides just coming here and talking and hearing a report? You know? And that's why that discussion last month was really, I felt, as you say, was energizing. One thing that occurred to me, because I'm not a, you know, go out and corral people kind of person, that would be helpful for me would be like just like a bullet point list of the top issues that the library is facing, that it would be useful to be able to talk about with people, because I forget. Yeah.
The talking points.
The talking points, yes, the talking points, because, you know, I don't want to forget to bring up something if I've got an opportunity with a person that I'm talking to.
Right.
But I need to kind of refresh that in my mind, instead of, you know, kind of saying, oh, we talked about that, you know, after I walked away from the person. So I just thought that might be useful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are the issues this particular year? What's the budget problem? You know,
Yeah.
kinds of things,
That's
concrete kinds of things that people in the general public probably wouldn't know about. Or if they complain about something, I can say, well, yeah, the reason we don't have more ebook titles is because we don't have the money for them. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And what needs to happen for us to get money, that kind of thing. So just maybe some very brief talking points that we can refresh every few months, or if something new comes up, we can add to the list, kind of keep it what's the word? Not a static thing.
Right.
But, you know,
A living document.
a living document, there you go, yeah. So that was just something that occurred to me when I was reading through what we talked about last month.
I think part of what will help with that idea, and it might have even come up last month, but is to kind of make sure I am circling back to our strategic plan on a more regular basis. In part to also talk about things we do that are meeting the strategic plan goals, because that's good to know too.
Yeah.
But, you know, kind of what lies ahead, what I think we might be able to do, or what we are doing currently, I think would help a lot with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll do a little about of that tonight too when I get to the director's report. But I think going forward, I can spend more time on it, like really kind of go through and kind of track back to things that are going on.
Yeah.
Tonight will be a little more high level with some specifics.
Well, and also I was thinking about, we talked about having various departments from the library come and
Yes.
give it, and that would help too, because
Yeah.
I'm not aware of, particularly the program stuff that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a note about that too.
Yeah.
Circle back with staff and kind of do that again. You know,
Yeah.
we did it when I was newer here. We did it, and then just
But now,
most of all the parts.
Right.
well, and actually, we probably should wait until new members come on board.
That's a good point. You know, maybe wait till July.
July, yeah.
But it's also not to say we have to, have it all done.
Well,
because then who knows, right? So
yeah.
it can kind of be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
The way I approached it the last time before you were here is I brought in leadership staff kind of from our main departments, right? So my children's manager spoke about all things children and teen. My adult came in and spoke about all the adult programming and collections and things. All that makes sense. And I think that would be good,
Yeah.
But, I don't know, there's some other things I think I could do there and have other staff engage as they can. It'd be good for staff too, by the way.
We had IT, I think.
Yep.
Jason came.
That's our IT
Oh,
tech
who's,
services. And then Julia came,
Security.
Jake.
Jake.
I don't know that I had Jake come. I doubt it. That's not to say you couldn't.
She just made stuff up.
Yeah.
We did
It
some
was
little
basically,
mini tours.
it was children, adult, tech, and circulation, right? So that was my four, and that's kind of how we function here with the four main departments. But even within there, you know, I mean, we do, in fact, getting back to the strategic plan, like when I think about literacy goals, both children and adult, I mean, you know, so that may involve the manager, it may not, right? It might be someone that's working on a project, and if I can work it so they can come here, that's the part B of the challenge is availability. But it would be great if I can work that out with staff, and hopefully with enough time we can. But things like that, you know, rather than a broad children's presentation, maybe bring in my team librarian and talk about specific things that we have, again, from the plan, but just in general with teen services. I mean, I'm just spitballing a little bit, but that's kind of what's been stewing for me a little bit.
Or anything that feels particularly timely or pertinent to this season of the library's activities. I think, you know, one idea was to kind of chunk out these different facets of the library and then put them on a timeline. And every month we have, you know, a brief study or sharing around that topic, but we can make it more strategic and more responsive, I think, in that if there are issues or just stuff that's happening right now or in the next few months, to give it that specific angle, I guess.
Yeah.
If there were things bubbling around security, maybe the board would want to be informed so that they could answer questions in the community about the library's security and so on, as an example.
Yep.
So we're kind of like smushing C and D together in this new business, which is fine because they're, in my mind, they're very much connected. But like, if that is something that the rest of the board would be interested in exploring, again, we don't have to nail down details this month, but just this concept of having a monthly informational piece that wasn't necessarily coming from John, as eloquent as he is. There are other voices that we could be hearing from within the library, and
it would just be nice to meet more people of the staff.
That was
well,
nice
I think that's I do think it's a good two-way thing.
Yeah.
You know, staff hear me talk about the board, but I think for some staff, there's not a whole lot of insight. You know, they're not quite sure, especially when you get to, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's their priority is the front line, but you know, still.
I think it makes it, you know, when you meet actual people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So maybe in a future agenda we can do a little preparation in advance and then come in and brainstorm just like a list of things that, I mean, we kind of started it last month. What are things you would like to know about or want to know about? Adult literacy came up, and some other good ideas. So we can bring this back and flesh out a longer list of topics, right? That's probably better than having just email them all to Tracy.
I think that, you know, again, it doesn't, I'm saying the strategic plan a lot only because I think it's a good guiding document, but that could be something that the board maybe reviews in a little more detail, and maybe there's things in there that pique your interest.
Yeah.
I'd really like to learn more about this. It also could just be questions, you know, like, what does this mean, you know, which might be a little bit different, but I think that can help guide some of that of what you'd like to see, you know, and help me too, organized. I think eventually, you know, we would probably try to cover a lot of it, but that's one thing that might help as far. And I don't think you need to tie it to it either. I mean, someone might have an idea that isn't necessarily coming from that, right? It could be just your own idea. I'm going to guess that whatever it is, it's easy to find a way to link it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's fine. You know what I mean?
Nicole brought up last month wanting a little bit more depth to some of the budget stuff. Am I representing that well, Nicole? That
more depth sounds great, but also just more regular, kind of like up, like throughout the year instead of just kind of after the budget requests have been made.
Yeah.
So
And I
that,
have a note about that.
right, that could be something separate, like
I think that's a
quarterly
separate.
or whatever.
Yep.
So we wouldn't have that as a topic for this rotation piece. Anything else that folks want to say about this? Is this the sort of thing we should make a motion about, or can we just say organizationally that we want to
Continue working on it.
carry this intention forward?
Yeah. And then it becomes all business because we continue.
It might be its own,
Or its own ongoing.
its own thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think if there's a specific, we get to the point where some month it's a specific topic and a staff member, I think that's a separate agenda item.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it fits within this kind of theme.
Yeah. It also gives that staff member like more guidance around when to show up
Yes.
and how
Yeah.
long they can expect to be
Ideally, I would
needed.
ask them, like, can you come tomorrow, by the way?
Yeah.
What time? Yeah. Sometime between
Yeah.
7 or 9.
Yeah. And maybe when we know we're going to have a presentation like that, we have fewer other things on the agenda to keep it
Yeah.
moving.
Right.
Yeah, because when
As
we
far as
meet,
possible.
you can be like, oh, that's a long one, or, you know, this won't take very long, whatever. Cool. Okay to move on? All right, we're all ready to old business and our locker update.
Okay. The updates, there's even more of an update from this morning. So we have, let me backtrack a little bit. So we have the two locations, right? Lashley Street Station is one. I'm still working on some site prep there. I'm having a little trouble getting some concrete work scheduled. But that's okay. Our vendor's being very patient, and they can push it out. And then our initial estimated installation for that anyway, way back when this all started, was around the third week or so of January. So, but knowing that, it makes it a little challenging because I can't have them deliver something that I can't install. So that's kind of the update there. I keep following up with my contact in the city, who is the one that actually works with concrete companies, and the city has one or two vendors that they generally work with. So we'll get there. Everything else I have estimates on, and those groups are ready to go. Just we have to have some electrical work done and some networking for data, right? So and then the other, this is the change, most likely, I should say, from this morning. I got a call from one of the project managers at the second location of the locker, which is the Ascent Housing Complex. Ascent, it's called Ascent and Hover Crossing is the official name, right? 17th and Hover-ish. And they, that going back to when I first started working with the Longmont Housing Authority, that's their project, which is good for me because then I have people I can work with. That actually, for the most part, is prepped because once we got in contact, they looked at the specs for the locker, they laid the concrete all ready for us.
Wow.
They put the electrical and data components up on the wall. It has to come obviously from the inside to the outside. That's actually pretty ready, although I was still thinking Lashley's first. But the project manager called me because that housing development is just about finished, and basically he needs that installed ASAP so they can sign off on that whole project. Now, installation doesn't mean we're using it right away,
Yeah.
but it may be that I swap this and get that installed first. I don't know, like, staffing wise, I would rather get one going before the other, not try to do two at once. There's kinks you have to work out, see how much we have to go in a day to deliver and deliver holds and retrieve holds that weren't picked up. I think we need to get a groove before we do the other location, if at all possible. So I'll probably have more updates on that too. But if that stands from the conversation this morning, that one would get delivered around the third week of February, installed, and then we would do like staff training and stuff in March. If we go forward, if it's there, we might as well use it, right? And maybe do that one first. Hey, yes.
There's no one living at.
Not
these-
yet.
Okay, so
They're very close.
what happens if in a year, whatever, there just isn't that much use of the locker?
Well, that could be either location.
Sure.
I don't know. I haven't really. There's not a plan B. Let me put it that way, because it would involve moving it. And it may sound like unprepared, but if all the other libraries I looked at are any indication, there's never a problem with people wanting to use these lockers. I think part of that will be up to us, right? As far as making sure people know about it, basic marketing and communication about it, and we will certainly do that. With press releases and things like that. We'll do some kind of ceremonial thing, I'm sure, to announce it. We'll do plenty of announcing and kind of explain what it is. And just my sense is this concept is so widely used in various formats. Amazon being the one who, as far as I know, basically invented it. Or I don't invent it, but they certainly made it popular.
Yeah.
So I think it's an easy sell.
Now,
And both will sit outside and be 24/7 access. So that's why.
And the Ascent one is not just open to people who live
No,
there.
it's just where it's going to be.
Anybody can just drive up and use it.
Yep. Yeah.
Excellent.
They both sit outside.
Yeah. And they're in different parts of the city, which is great.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. But I think worst case, like if no one seems to be using it either one, then we may have to think about that. It's not that it can't be moved. It would just be quite inconvenient.
I never thought about the process of determining where to put a locker. I assume there's some component of that process that involves how populated that area is, if it's in a development, are there just enough. It's different. It's hitting me now in this moment that it's just different from putting it in a development that is already occupied, where all of
But the
those.
thing about the Hover Crossing development is it's in a very dense area with shopping and all kinds of stuff is out there.
Right, and hearing that others can use it too.
There's long established neighborhoods out there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
I'm not worried, I'm just curious.
Yeah. So that's sort of some timing on it. The other part of the locker and the van, by the way, I think I've mentioned the van before, which you may have seen if you've ever been downstairs in our parking structure, sitting there at the moment. But we are currently working with a local artist who is a former library employee and is creating artwork for a graphical wrap for the van and the locker. They'll both be the same artwork. I like what I've seen so far. I'll soon enough have something to share, or I may keep it and make it more of a fun kind of release, just so it doesn't get out there. But anyway, I like what I'm seeing there for sure. That's been kind of fun to do. So I think that's the update on the locker. Good questions. Are there other questions about that?
Was there anything else in the wings, like for further down the road?
No. In this sense, you mean?
Yeah, like these
Nothing official.
bigger pieces
No.
that are hard to afford, but
Yeah.
they're not a branch. They're not quite a branch.
I mean, you know, my ultimate hope with this is it's a small enough thing that we can absorb with current staff. I'm hoping for a decent impact of visibility for the library, to see the library exist somewhere else, and hopefully create kind of some of that demand and things like that. So, you know, longer term, like people, let's just say people love the locker, we want to put them everywhere. Well, I can only do so many with the current staffing that I have, and I would have to have more and more vehicle, you know, so it starts to grow that way. You know, I would like to see, you know, that sort of visibility for the library and interest in it grow into not necessarily more lockers, but more like an actual location.
Yeah.
Right, where, okay, that's great, but this is a great location for the locker. I would love to be able to take my kid to story time here.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's what comes up.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Market
my hope.
testing.
Yeah, and even
But this is a good, you know, relatively, all things considered, and if you compare it to a branch, you know, and I'm not talking a brand new shiny building, even a strip mall branch. would be best space.
storefront.
But it's
Yeah.
still, you get into really heavy duty costs, right, with either some type of renovations or things like that.
Yeah.
And then, of
Yeah.
course, ongoing operational staff, which is staffing is the hugest part of that. The lockers just don't have that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a one and done cost with not so huge of a cost. So I like it.
I think it's a
I
great.
feel good about it.
I think it's a great way to expand the visibility of the library and say, you know, here's what we can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was going to be, I think you mentioned like a similar design that's on the van and the locker.
It'll be the exact same artwork.
Okay, so you're building that brand
Brand,
recognition
yeah.
too.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get the Times Call to come and do the whole interview. and
Yeah, we'll do a
opening and
whole
stuff.
press release
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
You know, kind of whichever one is first, I guess, or both.
Yeah.
You know, we can kind of open one and then the other. And who knows? I mean, I'm thinking one at a time, but maybe we just do both, right? I mean,
You can get it installed.
you know.
If you have the staffing, right? Like if you have the capacity.
Well, I mean, I have to have the staffing for two because there's going to be two. So it's whether I start them at the same time. Part of that might be a little more clear once we get one of these installed and we get some training. You know, I think there's so much of it is very streamlined and automated because it interfaces with our library system. I think it's except for the actual like getting materials from A to B and B to A. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's scanning barcodes, doors open, it tells you where to put stuff. You scan it again to see which things need to come back, and those doors open, you take them, and then you come back here, they get checked in, and you're done. That's it for the day.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see about that.
It's exciting. Nicole.
Go ahead.
Can I just ask two logistical questions, and maybe you answered this and I missed it. One was I was curious what the capacity for books is. It I assume there's a capacity of books per locker or per person that's picking it up, and then how many people or how many lockers there are.
Each one has 20 lockers, and the capacity depends a little, right? I mean, because like picture books, you could probably fit 10 to 15, or for all I know, and then something else like a, I don't know, Some
They're all
One
the
is
same
like-
size?
like War and Peace. That's the only thing that's going to fit in there.
Like a pillbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, have you already come up with, like, is there a policy on how long you'll hold things in the locker? Is it still a week?
That is something we need to talk about here, and some of the libraries I've researched in have shorter pickup times, just because, well, for one, they're not limited to library hours, right? So theoretically, you shouldn't be a week because you're not confined to here, and that might help the flow of that, and assuming there's high demand for it, I could see having more of a 3 or 4 day pickup window where you've got to get it. And again, I think people in the retail area are used to that kind of stuff, you know. I mean, but I don't know, Nicole. Like, we've certainly thought about it. I don't know if we'll start one way or the other. I mean, I'd hate to start with a week and then have to reduce it and change that on people. Like, it'd be nice to come up with one that we are fairly confident is good.
How long do we hold books on the whole shelf?
A week.
A week. By
I almost
say
wonder-
24/7. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. I almost wonder if, like, I'm just trying to think of, like, how my process would be, and I think this would probably be too much technology and logistics for this, but, like, I almost wonder if you got a notification and you got to pick a day or, like, 48 hours or something within the upcoming week when you would go pick it up. Because I wonder, like, just because I can see, even if it's 3 days, being like, oh shoot, I'm out of town for those 3 days, and I've been waiting for this hold for a while because the lockers weren't available, or whatever it is. I mean, I just wonder if there's going to be some management on your end of the books coming in and where they go, and then but also, I don't know, I think kind of being able to say, oh, I can make it in on Wednesday, and so somebody from the library is able to be like, okay, this book was scheduled to be picked up on this Wednesday or something like that, might actually make that easier. But obviously you then have to have the, online interface, and that's asking people to make sure that they're, using the technology that way. And so I don't know, it might be hard, but.
So there's pieces of this that are in place already for people that do place holds in our library online catalog. You can suspend what we call suspending holds, which delays it. Now, it won't give you a specific time. That within the library technology that we have doesn't exist, like almost where you can have it scheduled, or something like that. However, and what I don't know is if, in this case, what a patron could do if they do get a notice that it's ready, is it going to be where they have to actually call us, which we will certainly then do what we can to help that out, or is there a way they can do it? I don't think there's like an online tech way to probably do that, but I could be wrong because this might have some features I don't know about.
Yeah, I think the thing I worry about is 20 people having their holds sitting there for days on end, and you having to manage getting holds from different libraries. Are you only getting the books from this one library? Are you still able to do interlibrary holds with this?
Still, yeah, same as we do. So if someone places holds from another library and they want to pick it up in the locker, they can do that.
Okay, so then you'll have to manage if 21 of those books come in, you'll have to be holding on to that last book.
And this is where I think that the locker software helps with that. So it'll know if the locker's full, and I don't know then if it'll bounce back. Like, the patron may get a notice like the locker's unavailable, choose another location, which then would just basically be here or any of the other Front Range libraries that we partner with. It's a good question. That's some of that will come out in training, I think, when we get a little more. It's great questions, Nicole, and some of them we've thought about. Holds can't sit there, indefinitely because they'll expire, and then we'll bring them back. But I think one of the reasons I know with the lockers we have is it does manage those types of situations better than other lockers in this industry for libraries. It's a much more manual process in that way, where a patron doesn't know that the locker's not available, or it lets them place a hold, and then the library has to call them and say, actually, there's no room in there. You can come to the library, or we can hold on to it and bring it to the locker when it's available, but then you don't know when it's going to be available. It's just more like you're next in line.
Yeah.
Those are some details we definitely have to learn. But I'm hopeful that it works better than the other ones, at least from what I've seen.
And just out of curiosity, because I've never used the Amazon lockers or anything, so the patron will get like an email, and then does it give them a code for a specific locker number?
No, well, no, because when they place the hold, they'll select which locker. If you place a hold now online, it'll ask you where you want to pick
Where you
it
want
up.
to pick it up, yeah.
And it's a drop-down menu, and so you will choose Lashley Street Station hold pickup locker.
Yeah.
So they will
when
know.
you get there, but when you get there, how
They
do you
scan
know?
their library card, and the appropriate door opens.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
Or doors.
much
for that
easier.
matter.
Nobody has
Because
to
if
worry
you have a
about
lot of
it.
materials, and this sort of answers one of your questions, Nicole, like space depending, but if you have a large number of holds that would take up more than one locker, and there's capacity in the locker to fit them, then it'll give that patron 2-3 lockers, and then all 3 doors will open. And that's very similar to Amazon. So if you have ordered a bunch of stuff, it may open 3-4 different bins
I
for you,
see.
because
Okay.
some of your stuff may be big and some small.
Yeah, so you can just use your library card.
It's it. You just
I love
scan your
that.
card, and if you don't have your card, you type in your number,
Yeah.
just like here on our self-check. So it's
Yeah.
it's pretty flexible.
That's great.
Any other questions about lockers or vans?
What's the model of the van, the make and model?
It's a it's a Ford, and it's like a Transit. Thank you.
Okay.
It's a Ford Transit, which this particular one, I don't think they make them anymore. They stopped like just in 2023 or 24. Ford still makes Sprinter vans, as you call them, the ones you see everywhere. Like the reason I like this Transit model is it's a much lower profile, fits in our garage for one thing, and it's plenty big for what we need. Yeah.
All right, we're moving on to the director's report and
Just keep going.
whatever else you want us
Yeah,
to
just keep going.
throw at us.
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 things that I wanted to bring up here. I'm looking back at my notes. Yeah, so I don't know. I copied the board on this morning, and you may or may not have checked the email, but I wanted to address it here. It's not a huge issue. I do try to copy the board, it just doesn't happen that much. But a community member, you can write to city council, it's on the website, there's a form you fill out, it could be for anything. And someone wrote to share some thoughts about the library, primarily our children's section. Basically sharing like how much they love to come here, however, they notice things, some books and like toys that like doesn't seem to be anything new, things are broken, and wonder if we would ever be able to do anything about that. The specific question is there any discretionary funding to kind of improve that a little bit? So I wrote back. If you haven't seen it, you'll see it because I copied the board on this. And I basically share, as far as the library goes, no, we don't have discretionary funding. And that we're on a pretty limited budget. That being said, I will talk with my children manager. It can be a matter of knowing what community feedback is saying. Like we don't know what we don't know, right? And so that's something we could look at and think about. It would have to be more of a prioritization thing, more than likely. When it comes, and for me, collections and then kind of the play and the toy thing are different things. We certainly have a collection budget, children's, which won't surprise anybody, and I said this to her too. I mean, it's not one of the highest used collections in the library, so things get used. Nicole and anyone that has kids that gets picture books regularly, how flimsy they are. They're most of them just a few uses, and they can start falling apart. So it's one of those things that's harder to keep up with a more of what I would call a proper budget for a city and library of this size. We would have much more capacity to replace things and not keep things out there that are damaged or in a state of repair all the time, which is, I think, what they're seeing. It sounds like the patron offered that a lot of the books she takes home are broken, so she tapes them and brings them back. And I did say that I tried to be as delicate as I could. I appreciate the thought, but it would actually just be better to let us know. We do repair sometimes, but we have very specific preservation equipment to do that. So it's acid-free this and the tapes, or we choose to just replace it if we can. So it'd be better to not do that. Anyway, that was just some community feedback that it came over late last week, and I wrote a response this morning. That was more or less my answer, and certainly, if you have a chance to read it, there's more questions or thoughts next meeting, certainly can entertain that. Or now, Nicole.
So first of all, I really appreciate you including us on it. I thought that was great. If there's more things like that, I would love to continuously be included on that, because I think it's really helpful for us to know what people are saying about all sorts of topics at the library. So anytime there's whether it goes through city council, or I assume you get some direct feedback and things like that. I would love to kind of hear more about what people are saying, what feedback people are giving, because it helps us to kind of know, especially if we do eventually talk to city council and things like that. The only other thing I was thinking that you could potentially add in responses, and I think we talked about this maybe once before, is encouraging people to either go up to city council meetings and mention these kinds of things, because that helps with allocating budget, or mentioning this meeting, saying, hey, there is the library advisory board, these meetings. So just having something copy paste, a little blurb that you can stick at the end, being here's how you can get more involved, because I would love to see these people at our meeting or at city council actually talking about the library, because I think that would make our job easier when we're able to kind of make an argument for more budget. Just having more people mentioning, hey, by the way, this doesn't look as nice as other libraries in the area, or whatever it is. And I agree. I think I actually think we take a lot of picture books, and they're usually in pretty good shape. Obviously, some of them are ripped and things like that. But I do think there's probably some parts of the library, the toys and some of the I don't even know what you call them, exhibits. There's a sensory thing on the wall that's missing 75% of its pieces that just probably needs to be taken down. So there's definitely some stuff that I think removing it could probably even just make people think that it's a little bit not as shabby, if that makes sense. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of those cardboard puzzles that every time my kids do them, they're missing a couple pieces, and half the pieces are torn apart or torn off or whatever. And so maybe instead of getting multiple cardboard puzzles, it's we invest in a really nice wooden puzzle that's gonna last a little bit longer. And so kind of doing things like that with children's stuff, just kind of thinking about how the longevity and how the maintenance of these things can longer.
No, very good points. I'm trying to think back. I don't get a ton of things like this, of kind of direct feedback. I think the last one I got in this format, or I don't know if it was this or just an email or something, it was really just about parking, which is still good too. It's still good to keep all of you aware of that, just because they're relating it to the library. They were in that sense. I don't think I did copy the board. It was really the way the question came in. It was the parking issue they had wasn't really a library parking issue. I mean, it's just that they wanted to use the library, and not knowing enough of other resources. Like they didn't know we had a garage, so it's kind of an easier answer, not so much about, I mean, to me it's very different. But I think that it's a good habit, and Nicole, I really like your thought, like just have like you said, a boilerplate kind of thing, like, we'd love your feedback, this is when the board meets, council loves hearing from the community about all matters. This is a good format, but also if you are inclined to go to a council meeting, you should, because that's one of the best ways to communicate that kind of thing.
Well, and also, how many people might be thinking these things, but they're not going to go to the trouble of writing.
Yeah, so if someone really
person
does,
likes you, obviously other people are.
Well, and I always think about that. Yeah, if she's writing
if
about
she's
this, others
it,
may be thinking the same thing.
And things look shabby and everything. It's just better not to have it there than to have them broken or as
right.
Right. So just kind of do a sweep every once in a while. Pull out things.
And I did in my answer too. I also included my children in the team management. I mean, you wouldn't have seen that. I blind copied her on it, but I wanted her to see the
I didn't
feedback.
get anything from you. It was today or something?
Yeah.
I did not see anything.
I'll look back to make sure I have your correct email.
Okay. Yeah.
I based it, let me just check.
Yeah.
And I'll also forward it to you.
Okay, that would be great, because I would like to see.
I'm just gonna say it out loud that it might be worth asking the friends
So,
if they would make a donation.
Yeah, and I purposely didn't mention that in my response. But yes, and that was on my mind too. I mean, to at least with some of the toy aspect, I don't normally get the friends involved in collections.
Oh, I don't mean collection, I just mean toys.
Yeah. No, I thought about that too, but I was pretty deliberate about kind of just wanting to share, the state of our budget and, that we should have this type of thing in our operating budget and not,
But
and
the
I didn't
next
want to.
time.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like if it's bad, it should be built into the budget to refresh on an ongoing basis. But until then, they could probably help with the initial refresh.
Right. Oh, I don't disagree at all.
And I mean, having been to a lot of children's libraries lately, I think there's there's usually some kind of play area with, I don't know, just like a play kitchen or something. There's usually some kind of like furnishing kind of whatever. And I know we have some of those kinds of things. I mean, obviously, even the new area, but I think a lot of the stuff that we have is like Legos and bins that are taken out and put places and things like that, right? So it's kind of this it's toys and the kids love it, don't get me wrong, but I wonder if there's maybe something from the friends where it's more of I'm particularly thinking about the outdoor area, if there's more of kind of outdoor equipment, not playground equipment, but pretend play equipment, or I don't know, a giant mushroom. I don't know, but there's probably some kind of large investment that the friends could make that will last 20 years.
Right.
And so it's not constantly rebuy Duplos, but instead there's this one focal point of each area that's kind of a staple item.
Yeah.
Playhouse.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that and that's certainly a desire of this library and the children's staff to have better. It's that it grows into. I mean, there's space for some of it, but we need more. And there's always been a space issue there. This library just wasn't built in the same way that newer ones are, that have dedicated play areas, and we try to do what we can. That'll get it a little bit improved, hopefully before summer when we gain some more space in there. And I think that's a great idea. Not the ongoing toys or things, probably lower cost things that we probably can maybe figure out within the library, maybe some bigger purchase items that much more obvious and much more like have a longer lasting life that people will see, you know. So I'm definitely going to talk to Claire, my children manager, about that and kind of see like what ideas does she have for the future, you know, and let's talk about that.
A little baby pickup locker. with different like shaped handles, and they could just open doors, and the doors open differently, and just fill it with stuff. More brand.
Like two things that I see in like kind of classroom settings all the time that would be really easy for the library would be, and I'm not sure exactly how to do this because I think the play area is near the window, but like a light table, like one of the big classroom light tables, because you can put so many things on top of it. You can put letter type of things. You can do literacy and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like so many good uses for it, like building blocks. And then outside, I know there's like a ton of like large wooden blocks that are like weatherproof, so they can actually last outside, and they can even maybe store it outside. That might last a little bit longer than the kind of plastic toys that end up getting kind of like almost chewed up over time out there. Those would be huge investments because they're not cheap, but like I think those actually would be pretty durable. But things like that, I'm sure there's so many, like I'm sure you can talk to some like teachers and stuff too, like what like lasts in a class. Like you're looking at largely like preschool age kids that are there most of the time. So like what would last in a preschool classroom, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure your staff have a wish list already.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not been on that close on my radar, but that's why it's good to hear from people. Because now I'm like, well, let's talk about this. So that, sorry, I can move on to my other director item unless there's other comments on that. The other one, and you know, it's very likely you all saw this in the news, but I wanted to just make sure I addressed it here, that there was a person that previously worked for the city, very part-time in the library, and also worked in children and youth family, and has worked almost in every SVBSD and school districts in Denver, Lakewood. Anyway, was arrested last week or the week before for some very disturbing things regarding, you know, children selling like
I did read that story.
Yeah.
I read about it.
So you can look back and see, I can't remember, Patricio something was the name. You can search. It was in last week's paper on Tuesday or Wednesday. And of course I got a heads up that had happened, that the arrest happened, and that there was, you know, so we've been working with staff here. A few of my children's staff certainly remember working with them. A lot of children, youth and family services, right? Staff work with him. We worked a lot more there, and then all the schools. So there's certainly a lot of staff that are struggling with that, of having someone worked here that, you know, some of this was going on then, and you know, we haven't certainly had anybody come to us or the city that I'm aware of that has shared anything related to that or concerns anything happened. You know, this was back, by the way, in 2021. The person was here then, possibly in early 22, but I think in 20 or 21 is when he was here. And so the city, I think, is doing a great job. There's a press release about it from the Boulder County Sheriff. There's a city response to that that's out there. It's a very basic, just saying that we're aware that he worked here. There's no known criminal activity while he was here. That's still the case. Certainly staff that worked with him are having a hard time. So city HR has brought in some counselors to talk. We had a meeting about this on Friday with some of them. You know, you can imagine how that must feel to know that, you know, you were working with somebody where there was some things going on. And you know, I won't go into detail when he was arrested for. You can look that up, but it's not good. And it was going on for a long time. And at first it was bad enough that they arrested him and held him without bail. Someone told me today that they think that changed. They allowed him to go out on bail, but I'm not sure where that stands. I didn't see any news about it today. The article that came out in the paper about it, strangely enough, that same day there was another story about with someone else and different child sex crimes. That one wasn't in Longmont. It was on the front page of the paper, which made this one. But yeah, that was different. But this one was on the same day, but it was on the front page of the Longmont Times-Call of the Front Range section. You know that.
Oh yeah.
The local section. I think that's what it's called, the Front Range section.
Yeah.
That was on the front page there, and even then, if you read the article, it talks a lot about this person working in the school district. That's a lot of it. It doesn't mention the city or the library until almost the very end of the article. And it just more or less just states it. Like he was known to also possibly work here, So it didn't highlight that in any way. And a lot of the second article about it, I think there was another article that went into much more detail, didn't even mention the city, because of him working with St. Vrain Valley schools, and I think that there was either something people knew or they were suspicious. I think they were suspicious. You'd have to read the article. So they let him go. The person went to work for Jefferson County Schools, and at least according to the story, St. Vrain never alerted them to anything.
Yeah.
So that's the bigger story, which is, none of this is good. I'd rather the story be on somebody else, though. And I don't really think, at least as far as the library was concerned, he was very, very much part-time. I think he worked maybe 1 or 2 days a week, helping out with children. Certainly as a part-timer, and you never would have worked alone with anybody. Probably just worked at the desk, maybe help with programs where there's other staff. So anyway, I figured I should specifically address this here so that you're aware, and if you need to go look it up and read up on it, please do. There's been nothing that's come of it since, except for internally and just kind of checking in with staff that knew him, and that's about it. We'll leave it out. Yeah.
Thank you for keeping us informed on that.
Yeah. So those are kind of the two things I wanted to bring up in that report.
Nothing else? No. Thank you.
We're moving on to upcoming engagement opportunities. Actually, in last month's minutes, we talked about the librarian movie that's going to be at the museum on March 1st.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe at our next meeting, we could have an agenda item of coming up with some talking points and maybe say, are any of us going to go and maybe have a table or something outside the theater or whatever.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Or I don't know if we should talk about like coordinating with the friends, maybe sharing a table, sharing a present.
Whatever,
but yes, for next time, talking points and planning.
Maybe people signing up so people who's going to come.
That reminds me of, I did not close the loop when you brought up the talking points piece, which is, do you have an imagination for what form those talking points would take? So like say John is super inspired, goes home tonight, has a bunch of, well, I want them to be talking about this, and here's the party line on that. But like, is that an email? Is that a little half sheet flyer? Like how would you access those things when you're out in the world and you want to talk about the library? Are you pulling something up on your phone? Or are you getting it out of your purse? Okay.
Well, if anyone has
Yeah.
preferences or recommendations,
I mean, I was kind of just thinking of just something that I could look at before I go to the event.
Yeah.
Just to refresh the different things that might be important to touch on.
I'm going to suggest something that's almost certainly too much, and so John can just poo-poo it, that's fine. But I think it was that the friends, when they go to their meetings, they have like the paperwork that's like, here's the numbers for our finances or whatever. And it's just like this very clear like bullet point, and I assume it's like a formatted thing that they do all the same every time. I wonder if even in this meeting, if John, I assume you prepare what you're going to say in your director's reports. If it was something as simple as a handout that has the like three, like any numbers that you're going to mention, like any dates or like factoids that just are like written down for us. I don't know if that's like way too much to prepare. Maybe you prepare in like the 5 minutes before the meeting, and so please don't feel like you need any pressure to do that. But I wonder if there's something that we could take home once a month that's just like, here's a couple of facts about what's going on in the library, and then when we prepare for a meeting, we can kind of consolidate those, or prepare for like an event or something. We can maybe even consolidate those as the board to print out for us or something. I don't know. I loved how organized that Friends. I think that's probably just like a 501c3 thing or something, but like it was really nice to have like just the numbers in front of us when we were discussing. So.
I wasn't thinking so much in terms of numbers, because I don't see that as a way I would be talking to people. I was thinking more in terms of main, maybe 2 or 3 main priorities, or what the problems are about the budget, or
It basically the strategic plan.
Yeah,
distilled into
a couple of
accessible.
Yeah.
Language, just a few sentences of here's the issue, here's what we're trying to do about it, here's what's getting in the way.
Yeah, something like that.
Is that kind of what you mean, Nicole, or?
So I was thinking, and I guess maybe I was thinking less about the strategic plan. I was thinking more like when we go to these events, for example, if we take the lockers as an example, if it were something as simple as like a half sheet that had something like, here's the address or the neighborhoods or whatever of where those lockers are going. Like here's a link or whatever, something where you can go and look at the policy or how to, or like whatever you're going to end up doing of how to actually check out a book using these lockers. Something that like where I'm not going to necessarily know the specifics. I've already forgotten where those lockers are. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't, in terms of like their actual address. So like if somebody was like, where are the lockers going? I could be like, oh, Lashley, but I don't really remember exactly. So like you're going to have to look it up. Like I'm not as informed with those kind of facts, so it's hard for me to talk about those specifics. I can just be like, oh, there's lockers coming. You'll have to find somewhere else to find the information now. So I don't know if that's, I guess that's not strategic plan information. So like you could kind of tailor this same concept to the strategic plan and be like, what are we actually asking for in this year's budget increase, for example, and then maybe there'd be a little bit of a blurb about that we could have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the like kind of, here's why we need more money for collections, for example.
Almost like an annotated agenda.
And it's not that you would bring up all of those things with any one person, but if they are asking you a question that relates to one of those things.
Hold on, let me check get this out of my glove box.
No, I think it can be any. I think it could be anything. I wanted more from Nicole, because now it makes sense. Like if you think about the locker, like to her point, it's like you could have something that's pretty specific to that event, and like here's the details.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's budget thing, if it's like in budget season, like maybe that's where it's like, just some again, talking points, something that kind of highlights the high priorities, something like that. So it's just not like I talk about it here, and then, you know, maybe you've captured it, maybe you haven't, but if there's just something printable that, I think that's what everyone is saying, where you can kind of just have it ready to go.
It's updated maybe seasonally.
Or tied to an event if there's an event.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, certainly once the lockers are actually operational, I would assume that, you know, you could get a little card printed out with the information that can be handed out at the library and by us.
Yeah, I mean, when that's all said and done, we'll have a dedicated web page to it that goes through the instructions of how to use it, all the kind of procedures behind it, and like when you have to pick up your hold, you know, all that stuff will be there. The locker itself, part of the wrap, as artistic as it will be, it'll also have very functional things like a QR code that points back to the site, like, want to know how to use a locker? Scan this code, you know, that kind of thing. The screen itself has instructions too, by the way, not to digress into the locker, but you don't have to have a QR code to learn how to use it.
Oh, that's good, because I don't do QR codes.
Yeah, but I think things like that, and we'll have little handouts here.
Yeah,
one thing we're doing ahead of time on that, I should have mentioned this before, is we've made a postcard that we intend to mail out to a number of houses within that Lashley area, that Centennial Park neighborhood. One is sort of like a heads up. You know, that this is happening, but it certainly is being shared more of a, you know, great news. But then it has like our email, library emails, people can email. We haven't done it yet, by the way, but it'll go out. You know, but that same postcard can serve something here that we can hand out to people. So.
That's kind of how I was doing it. Not with necessarily with all the details about how to do it, but it exists. You know, you got to get that out there first.
Great.
Going back to engagement opportunities.
Yes.
Did get some community feedback around the RSVP or the ticketing system for the film screening. It's through the city rec. I've been promoting the heck out of the screening with
for the librarians? It should be. Aren't we using Tracy LibCal for that? We're not using RecTrack, are we?
Oh, no, for registrations, no. Yeah, we're using LibCal to register for it. Is it a different event?
So it's at the museum. This is the one that's being screened at the museum.
In March, early March. But we've the last time we had an event there, I think was it the band book scene or the one after? Did we do an author event after? Oh, we did Stephen Graham Jones. But we had to use the museum's reservation system. But now we have our own platform for that, and it's nothing could be worse than the recreation reservation system.
Okay, so I can talk more about this offline, but basically one of the youth I work with said, this is super glitchy, I'm having an issue, it's like with the rec center. I said, let me go search it up and try it. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, you're correct, Jamie. Apparently it is on the
You have to be logged into your account, your city account, and the
that
tickets
like
are still free. But you have to
It is
log
right.
in. And then it says on the page, the landing page itself, that if you're not signed in or you're experiencing any issues, like heads up, this is gonna be glitchy. Like right on the website. I'm like, okay. So I could either call somebody or keep wrestling with it. So that's why I brought it up.
So it's good you brought it up because and what I'm getting from Tracy at the moment is it's using RecTrack, which was not our intention. So that's something that we'll have to fix. Our registration system is way better than that. That's why I didn't want to use it. Nicole's saying, yeah, and that's the other problem with Rec Track, Nicole, is there's always problems. It's always down.
It's
I hate
definitely
it.
being backtracked, and this is the note that's on the event
Yeah.
about guest checkout. Can you guys all see that? I don't know what you guys can see. Do you want me to read it out loud?
We saw it.
Are you sharing something?
No, she
She
put it in
did.
chat, but it went away.
Oh,
Please note we are currently experiencing issues
Yes,
with guest check.
that's it.
We'll currently have. Please call the museum's front desk to purchase
But
tickets
this
for major
particular
reservations.
program should not be using that platform, so that's an internal issue that we will address.
interesting. So you thought it was gonna be, or it was supposed to be through,
Our own library reservation system, which is fairly new,
yeah.
but it's,
How do you get to it? Where is it?
well, the program itself will say register, and it should have brought you there on our website, just through programs or the calendar.
This wasn't an email. This was an email that was pushed out. I don't know if it was.
From the museum or
the-
us.
Or the
We will
city.
figure it out. There's a
Yeah.
different problem here, Jamie.
Okay.
If we were using Rec Track, which we have before, because sometimes we don't have a choice, I would probably just say like, yeah, it's a terrible system. We don't have a choice. Now we have a choice. The problem now is people are being linked to Rec Track when they shouldn't be. So that's what we
Well,
got to
that's
figure
my
out.
question, because I'm wondering if that link was in a communication from another entity besides the library.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. The event itself shouldn't even exist in Rec Track. So someone created it thinking that that's what we were using, probably because it's at the museum.
That's why.
So there's some messaging here that didn't get through to the right people at the museum, or they didn't understand that we're not using it anymore. We'll figure that out.
Do
It's
we
really
think
good you
it's
brought it
gonna
up
sell-
because we
sell
didn't
out?
know. Huh?
Do we think it's going to sell out like right now?
Most stuff doesn't early on anyway. People don't register
Oh, yeah,
for
it's only
stuff.
January.
Yeah, it's
I think they're
so we do have time to fix it, and then
just
we can.
very interested.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I'm trying to get into the library's website. It's not working.
Sorry to drop that on.
No, it's good to know.
Thank you for letting us know.
We didn't know, and that's bad. Or now it's good. So.
It will be resolved.
All right. I see you tensing up over there.
So there's some other events.
After
listed.
that, we have 2 author talks, 2 author visits, and then the next big spring book sale. But the Friends are having a Valentine's Day pop-up in February. It's like a romance situation.
They'll actually have 2 pop-up sales in February because there'll be one that's coordinated with the gardening fair.
Oh, right.
So as well. But yes, then the regular quarterly book sale is this week in March.
What do we all think?
Sorry.
No, it's
I was
okay.
trying to
Do you see
get it on my
opportunities or any of these events? I'm not personally familiar with those 2 authors. I don't think I know what they're about, but I'm just wondering if there's there's something that either one of us is definitely going to be at no matter what, or one we should prioritize because of what it's about or what it connects with.
And where are these author talks going to be?
They're both at the library.
Most stuff is here. It's
Yeah,
the films we tend to do at the
big.
museum, yeah. Or if it is a bigger known author, like
Yeah.
Stephen Graham Jones, we did over there, or Cy Montgomery was
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
Any of them could be good. I think, and it's not here. It might have been last month, but that gardening fair in February, that's a huge draw of people. Usually a couple hundred or so. And this might have come up last month or the month before, but I think, as this board has talked about goals and things, and now that for sure there's a board opening, I think those can be places where you can talk about serving on the board as a goal. In which case, anything I think is fair game. Maybe not the Friends book sale.
When is the garden?
February 22nd. It's a Sunday. On the 4th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I will not be here.
That's I'm just mentioning.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Since that has come up before here,
If I was in
recruitment
town.
efforts like
Yeah.
that fair particularly has a lot of people. The Friends does too. I just don't know if that's the right format to try to.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm not creative enough. I think about the way I shop.
Which is how?
Like, don't bother me. I got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you need help, sir? No, I do not.
Would you like to learn more? Yeah, or exciting
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, no, I also don't want to know because I'm just here to shop.
Yes, exactly.
So, just being honest, that's why I made that comment. Like, I don't know about the book sale, but other places, you know, people are more engaging with the library on that level. They're not. There's a lot of people come to that book sale that happy they do it and support it because obviously it benefits us. But there's a lot of people that come to those that may not even be from here. For one, you know, they're not necessarily engaged with the library, but they definitely want to shop for books.
My experience is that there are many, many people who are, and that is when they want to chat. And that is why when I have the opportunity
so I might
to
be
volunteer at the checkout,
Yeah.
that's why I volunteer at the checkout. Because they want to tell you, everyone wants to tell you what they think of the library and like what they found. Like
Right.
what they want you to share in their
Yeah.
joy, and they just tell the most amazing stories about what they're going to do with these books, or why they're getting this book, or something else random that happened to them. And so, yeah, I think it's a great way to interface with the public, but it's good to have it kind of like a little station. I think people will just come to you and start talking. Tell me your
There you go.
problems.
Yeah.
Wear a shirt.
Yeah. Right. That's all your problem.
Receiving complaints here. They will just wear it. Anything else about author visits or other cool places we could go talk about the library? I obviously just try to weave it into everyday conversations. Okay. Well, we are at the end of our agenda items. Are there any comments about anything whatsoever? Can we say thank you to Tracy for these lovely board binders that we're starting out 2026 with, for your notes, for your, it's got pockets, for all of the various and sundry documents that get shared as part of being on this board. I didn't even flip through it yet. Like, we can add to it.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to come in and get one.
Yeah, next time it's an incentive.
You could even come to a meeting.
At least one meeting in person.
In person. Yeah.
I mean, we would love to see you outside of a screen.
Yeah, but we understand.
I
too.
totally understand. I just mentioning it's always nice to see people in person.
We don't deliver, is the point. We'll just throw it in the back of the van when it's doing
We could
its
deliver it
rounds.
once we get the van
Stop
out.
at
We'll just drop
meetings.
it by.
Put it in your locker.
Well, yeah, place a hold. That's how.
Place a hold. I could see us putting in like those printouts about like what the Mosher Fund's about. There's another one. It starts with
Epson.
Epson.
The Mosher, yeah, the other ones don't get used a ton. They're
Yeah.
hard to spend on.
I imagine that we might all have ideas at some point about what we could add over time and just have it be kind of like that board Bible of sorts. Thank you, Casey, for making this happen. And thank you, John, for bringing all the info.
And without any further discussion, our next meeting is also, what, go?
Well, it may be something, so there's a potential that I won't be available for the March meeting on that day, which is the 16th, I believe. And I wondered if the board would be interested in, it doesn't have to be decided until, I'll know for sure in February, but I wondered if you wanted to come up with an alternate date in March in case. That way it's documented, and then it would be confirmed in February.
I see. So we're meeting February 9th,
That's confirmed.
which is also earlier than we would normally be meeting because of the holidays. So we've got 2 consecutive months already of meeting on the 2nd. Monday, does the 2nd Monday of March work?
I can't do the 2nd. I can't do the, wait, hold on, what's the date? It's the
It's the 9th.
9th. I cannot do the 9th on
Okay.
March.
How about the 23rd?
I can do that one.
I can do anything, so no problem.
Katie, what say you?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up, sorry. Too slow. That, yeah, either of those is okay. The 23rd is good.
Okay. It's sounding like that is the one that all of the board members can make. Yes? 23rd.
Yes.
All right. Shall we put a hold on that for now and then confirm
I
next
think,
month?
yeah, maybe just in the minutes record that we'll confirm the March meeting, but it may be on the 23rd. That way it's documented in the minutes. I know, I'll let Diane know if that's the case.
Yeah.
Poor Diane. Just be like, dude, when do you guys
Getting
meet?
jerked
Yeah, the same
around.
day? It's like, no.
No.
Only the cool people know.
Yes. So,
Okay. Anything else about dates? Very cool. Thank you for your time, everyone. Ending right at 8:30. If I draw it out, a few more seconds. Anyway, grateful to have that time in my evening.
Yeah.
We will see you all next time.